everyone. We are learning Sefer Yeshayahu, and we are up to Perek Gimel. Perek Gimel is not a separate nevuah, as I've said many times. The division of Sifrei Tanakh into Prakim is not of Jewish origin. It comes from the non-Jews, and as a result, even though we use it for convenience and for reference, the divisions are sometimes in the middle. So basically, you'll recall that the Navi is giving a strong condemnation of the sins of Am Yisrael and the fact that there will be a Churban and the fact that all of the false ideologies and the taivas and the money and the power is going to collapse. And there was a refrain several times in the preceding Perek, V'niskav Hashem levadei b'yomahu, and on that great day, everyone will realize there is only God, that all of the things that we thought would bring us power and happiness and success and strength and confidence are going to collapse. And now it goes on with that same theme. Ki hinei ha'adayin Hashem tzavakais meiser miYerushalayim and miYehuda. Behold, I am removing, Hashem is going to remove from Yerushalayim and Yehuda, mashan umashena, any type of support. Kol mishan lechem, the support that you get from your bread, that you have enough to eat. Mishan mayim, the support that you get from mayim, something to drink. All of that's going to be taken away from you. Gibor v'yish milchama, you will lose military heroes who you thought could save you. Shofet v'navi, you will lose the shofet, the judge. You will lose the prophet, these are the false prophets. V'kosem, you will lose your sorcerers. V'zaken, you will lose the elders who you thought would give you guidance. Sar chamishim, the generals over brigades of 50, that's kind of the lowest type of general. Unesu panim, and distinguished people. Nesu panim, distinguished persons, politicians, intellectuals, professors, who give me wisdom, I thought, and give me advice, and tell me how to weather the crisis, whether it be terrorism or corona. Yoetz, advisors. Chacham charashim, people who have knowledge of secrets. Nevain lachash, those who understand things that are hidden. Basically, he's describing, and again, it's not b'diyuk what Tekufa he's talking about, but he said there will come a time of confusion where all of the people we thought could give us answers are not going to give us answers. And what is going to happen? V'nosati niorim sorehem. Over and above all of these so-called wise people, there will be young people, young, inexperienced people who will somehow be in charge of things. V'salulim yimshalubam. And talulim essentially means shualim. Well, machlokas, some say it means foxes. Some say it means people that are late sonim, mockers. Again, it makes sense. Again, if you think about contemporary culture, comedians, satirists, entertainers, actors, they will be the spokesman of society. V'niga sa'am ish b'ish, v'ish b're'eyu, and people will oppress each other. They will not respect each other. They will not listen to each other. Yirhavu hanar b'zoken, the young, inexperienced whippersnapper, shall assert authority over the old and wise person. Hanikla, he who is shameful, banichbad, will assert memshala and authority over one who is deserving of honor. Again, some of the difficulty of learning Yeshayahu, and this is a very, very difficult book, is that there are certain timeless qualities here in which we can't automatically correlate it to the particular time Yeshayahu is living in. A lot of times we do. A lot of times we will connect it to the history. But you have to look at Yeshayahu as the Navi is speaking to us. There's general messages we have to absorb. And indeed, that's fully exactly what Chazal say when they talk about Nevuah shetzricha l'dairis. So when I read these psukim, I'm not thinking so much about the Churban Beis Hamikdash. I'm thinking about what the Navi is telling us about our lives even today. And without getting too openly political, I don't want to go in that direction, surely. But, think about Corona, think about the misinformation, think about the people who are running the show, think about all the different distortions that come out, etc. And we're bereft. We're bereft. We want guidance. We want hadracha. And there's a Hester Panim in which it's harder and harder to get the definite hadracha. And now it describes the desperation that people have for somebody to be a leader to guide us. And here is what Pasuk Vav says. Ki yitfais ish bi'achiv beis aviv. Simla. A man will grab on to the garment of his friend, of his brother, and will say, L'cha, come, kotzin tiyelanu, be our leader, maybe you can give us an answer. So the chaos can be in your hands. You can help us through this chaos. And at that point, even the people who seemingly might have been able to be leaders will feel they're going to be inadequate. It's the inadequate ones that are going to be the leaders. But people who might be able to do the job are going to feel helpless and hopeless. Yisa bayayimahu lemor, that day, the person who was asked to be a leader will lift up his head and say, Lo eyeh chovesh, I am not able to wear the garment of leadership. Ubebeisi ein lechem v'ein simla, I'm no better than you. In my house there is no bread and there is no royal garment. Chazal say this is referring to wisdom and Torah. Lo tisimeni katzin I cannot be a ruler of people. Meaning, even the people who might have been able to step up are going to be afraid. They're going to be reluctant. They're going to feel weak. They're going to feel ineffectual. Ki kashla Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim has stumbled. The Yehuda nafal, and Yehuda has fallen. Ki l'shaynam u'malalehem el Hashem lamrais einei kavaydai. Their tongues, their speech, and their deeds towards Hashem have been to rebel against Him. Hakaras peneim ansabam. The very appearance of their face, so to speak, testifies against them. Again, the Mekubalim talk about the idea that the averos that a person does are somehow engraved in their face. V'chatasam kistaim higidu lo kichedu, and their sins are like Sodom, and they can't deny it. Oy lenafsham ki gamlu lemra, alas to their nefesh. They have done bad. They have hurt their neshama, which is a chelek elokam mimal. Imru sadik ki taiv ki pri malaleim yochelu. Everyone should declare that the tzaddik will be good because he will eat the fruit of his good deeds. His good deeds produce peiros, but conversely, oy l'rasha ra. Alas to the Rasha, who will only have bad in his life. Ki gemul yadav yeyasalo. Gemul yadav, compensation for what he did with his hands, will be done to him. Rishus will come back and bite you. Ami, my nation. Again, Hashem is still calling the Jewish people my nation. No ksav, me'olel. Its oppressors are ma'olel are abusing them. V'noshim mashluba. Again, with apologies to the women, this is said to be a bit of an insult. The women are ruling over them. Now, again, this should not be interpreted as anti-women per se, but we're going to see that the women of the Dor HaChurban were women that were very involved in improper sexuality, lack of tznius, pritzos. So essentially, it's not condemning women, it's condemning those women, and we'll see this biarichos very shortly, and therefore they were setting the agenda. Now again, this actually means that the spiritual avira of a bayit is set by the women. If a woman wants a bias of kedusha, of tahara, then that's going to be the tzura of the bias, even if the husband is not so firm. The Medrash says a righteous woman will make a rasha into a tzaddik, and a rashas will make a tzaddik into a rasha. So the taina that nashim mashlubai means the women we're going to describe shortly are the ones that are setting the tone, and that's machriv, the whole bias. Ami, mi ashrecha, those who are supposed to lead you, matim, are leading you astray. V'derech orchaisecha, and the pathway that could bring you to righteousness, bileyu, they have destroyed. Nitzav l'riv Hashem. So Hashem is standing up to fight against you. Right? One thing we don't want as an enemy, we don't want Hashem as our enemy. The Omeid Ladin Amim, and He's there to judge all of the nations that are behaving in an evil way. Hashem b'mishpat yavayim ziknei amai v'sarav. Hashem will bring judgment against the elders of His people, the false leaders and the princes. V'yatem, and you leaders, bi'artem akerim, you have destroyed the precious, beautiful vineyard of God. G'zeilat ha'ani b'batechem, and that which you have stolen and oppressed the poor is in your house as evidence of your sin. Ma lochem tedaku ami, why do you crush my people? Speaking to the leaders. Upnei aniyim titchanu, it's as if you take the face of the ani and you grind him in the millstone. Ni'um Hashem Elokim Tzavakos. And now we have a very lengthy description of the pritzos of the women, in which their desire for pritzos, for improper sexual expression, led them in all sorts of gaivadik behaviors. And they're spelled out in great, great detail. Vayomer Hashem, and Hashem says, Yan ki gavu b'nai Zion, because the daughters of Zion are gavu, they're behaving in an arrogant fashion. V'teilachna netuyos gairen. Right, netuyos gairen is gaiva, like they lift their necks very high. And they walk with an outstretched neck. Misakrai seinayim. You may remember from the video of Yom Kippur, we talk about netuyos gairen, stretching out your neck. And Sikur Einayim. Sikur Einayim, Mesakros Einayim. It's taken from Yeshayahu. Many Lashonos in Tefillah are taken from Yeshayahu. Mesakros Einayim means they wink. So in the Vidoy it means when we promise something to somebody, but we're really winking to somebody else, we don't really mean it. It's a type of sheker. In fact, Sakros has the same letters as sheker. One is a sin, one is a shin. But here, winking essentially means flirting. They walk with gaiva, and they wink at men. Yeshayahu is pretty explicit. Haloch v'tofof teilachna. Again, they walk and they raise themselves like high-heeled shoes. Ubragleim tiakasna. And with their feet, right, they walk in a provocative way. Tiakasna, they send forth beautiful smells, meaning they put perfume or balsam in their shoes, so as they walk, they attract attention through the pleasant smell. V'sipach Hashem kadkai b'nai Zion, and Hashem will smite the head of these arrogant women with saras. Again, that doesn't have to necessarily be literally. Vashem pashen yeyareh, and he will open up their inner parts, meaning to say they will be exposed to humiliation. And bayomahu, and on that day, Yosir Hashem es tiferes hoachasim, God will take away the glory of their shoes, hashevisin, the embroidery of their headdresses. This is a whole fashion list here. Hasaharonim, the moon-shaped, sahar is a moon, the moon-shaped brooches that they wear. They had pins that were shaped like a half moon, or a crescent moon. Hanetifos, the necklaces. Vahasherot, the bracelets. Ra'alot, the veils. Mamish, a whole litany of fashion. Ha-pe'erim, the crowns or the tiaras. Hatza'adot, these were chains around the ankle. Kishurim, hair ribbons. Botei hanefesh, clasps that would clasp the shawl to the dress. Lachashim, again, are veils. I mean, again, obviously, we don't know exactly what fashions were then, so it's describing different types of head coverings. Tabaot are rings. Nizmei ha'af are nose rings, which were worn in those days. Mach lotzos are tunics. Matafos are actually bedspreads, the Mefarshim say. They would put provocative, sexually alluring bedspreads to commit adultery. Mitpachot are table coverings. Charitim are purses. Gil yonim are mirrors. Sadinim are sheets on the bed. Tzanifot are turbans. Rididim are shawls. So a whole catalog of the fashions and the bedspreads and the bed covers and the sheets and the jewelry that these women were wearing to attract other men. And this is one of the sources. So we've already had Avodah Zarah, Giloy Arayos, Shavichas Tamim, right? This is where you see the big three Averas that were Garim the Chorban. And what's going to happen? Hashem is going to take all of this away. V'haya tachas baisem, instead of the aromatic perfume, mok yehei, there will be rotting flesh. V'tachas chagura, instead of the beautiful belt, nikfa, there will be scabs and rashes. V'tachas maisa miksha, and instead of v'tachas miksha, instead of the solid jewelry, karcha, there will be baldness. V'tachas pisigil, and instead of the chagura, machgora sak, they will wear sackcloth. Ki tachas yaifi, all of this will replace their beauty, because their beauty was gaiva, and their beauty was there to be mezaneh. Masayach b'cherev yipailu, all of your people, or your people, doesn't say all your people will die of the sword. Ugavura seich, and your military heroes will die b'milchama. V'onu v'ovlu pisacheha, and the entrances to your city will be mourning, because they will be empty of its inhabitants, and every family will have lost someone. V'nikasa le'aretz teshev, and nikasa, in other words, it will be cleansed, meaning the population will be decimated. Le'aretz teshev, they will sit on the ground like an ovel that is mourning.